punishment. People think the scariest thing in a relationship is hearing the words, "We need to talk." But it's not. The scariest thing is when the talking stops. When there's nothing left to explain, no reason given, punishment, no closure handed to you in a neat little box, just silence. And the worst part is you can't rewind to when it felt full, when it felt alive, punishment. When every day had a rhythm to it because you knew they were on the other side of that screen or phone call. It's strange how fast it happens. 1 week they're sending you good morning before you've even opened your eyes, punishment. The next week, you're staring at your phone at 10 a.m., wondering if they forgot you exist. You tell yourself, it's fine, they're just busy. They'll text later. But deep down, that little voice in your chest is whispering punishment. Something's different. And it's not paranoia, it's awareness. At first, you fight it. You start sending longer texts, trying to be funnier, more interesting. You send them something you saw that reminded you of them. You call punishment just to check in. You're putting in extra effort to fill a gap you didn't create. And for a while, you convince yourself it's working until you realize you're only one doing the work. I've been there, punishment. Sitting on the edge of my bed at midnight, phone in my hand, watching the 3 little typing dots appear and then disappear. No reply, no explanation, just that sinking feeling in my stomach. And I remember thinking, punishment, why am I letting my happiness depend on this? It's not that I needed them to text every minute of every day. It's that the change in their pattern was speaking to me and I was pretending not to hear it. Because let's be honest, punishment. We don't want to hear it. We'd rather hold on to the version of them that existed in the beginning when they couldn't wait to talk to us. Here's the truth. Silence is not rejection. It's information. And information is powerful if you're willing to listen to it. I had a friend, let's call her Maya, who went through this exact thing. She was dating a guy who, in the first 6 months, was all in. Flowers, surprises, punishment, long talks until sunrise. But slowly, his energy shifted. He started canceling plans. He replied to her text with one-word answers. She'd tell me maybe he's stressed from work. Maybe he's just tired. And sure, punishment. Maybe those things were true for a while. But when weeks turned into months, it wasn't stress, it was priority. One day I told her, you're not losing him because you're not enough. Punishment. You're losing him because you're ignoring the information his actions are giving you. She went quiet. And then she said, but if I stop trying, he'll leave. I looked her in the eye and said, punishment. If you have to keep trying this hard for him to stay, he's already gone. We don't want to accept that because it's painful. It feels like admitting defeat, but in reality, it's the opposite. It's reclaiming your power, punishment. Your confidence cannot live in someone else's attention because attention is unpredictable. One day they're giving it to you like you're the only person in the world. The next, they're withholding it without warning, punishment. And if you build your self-worth on something that's unstable, you'll spend your life on emotional roller coasters you never wanted to ride. I know you want to fix it. Punishment. I know you want to prove your value so they remember how good they had it. But here's the thing, they already know your value. They just don't value it enough to treat it right. That's not a reflection of you, punishment. That's a reflection of them. Control what you can, release what you can't. You can't control how fast they reply. You can't control if they pull away. But you can control your response. You can choose not to chase punishment. You can choose not to lower your standards just to keep them close. You can choose to create space and see what they do with it. Let me tell you something about space. People think giving space is pushing someone away. It's not. Punishment. It's an open door. It says, I'm not blocking you from leaving, but I'm also not holding you here against your will. And the right person will use that space to step closer. Punishment. The wrong person will use it to disappear. And as painful as that is, it's actually a gift. I learned this the hard way years ago. I gave space to someone I cared about, hoping they'd come back stronger. Instead, punishment. They used that space to slowly fade out of my life. At the time, it crushed me. But looking back, I see it clearly that space didn't just reveal their intentions. It protected me from years of trying to convince them to love me the way I deserved. Boundaries build respect, not distance. If someone truly values you, your boundaries will never scare them. They'll respect you more for having them. Punishment, because boundaries aren't walls, they're gates. You decide who walks through and under what conditions. If you have to beg for someone's presence, they're not your person. Real connection is mutual. Punishment. Real love doesn't have to be chased. It meets you where you are. I know right now it feels like silence is the enemy. Like if they would just explain, you could fix it. But sometimes silence is the answer. And the answer is this: punishment. You deserve someone who chooses you without needing to be convinced. Someone whose consistency doesn't depend on their mood. Someone who communicates with you because they want to not because you pulled it out of them. Punishment. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you feel someone pulling away, don't run after them. Stand still. Watch what they do with the distance. If they close it, you've got someone worth your time. If they widen it, punishment. You've got your answer. Either way, you win because your value is not up for negotiation. Your worth isn't on trial every time someone decides whether or not to text you back. Punishment. You are not here to audition for the role of worthy of love. You already are. And maybe right now, that silence is breaking your heart. But one day, you'll look back and realize it was the best thing that ever happened to you, because it made you stop chasing people who were walking away and start walking toward yourself. And the beautiful thing about walking toward yourself is that the right people will meet you on the path. Let's be honest, punishment, if they wanted to, they would. That's the hardest sentence in the world when you're in love with someone who's pulling away. But it's also the simplest truth. And the sooner you accept it, punishment, the sooner you stop wasting your life trying to convince someone to treat you the way they should have from the beginning. I've seen people spend years in that space, half in, half out, waiting for someone to come around. And they miss out on the joy, the peace, the love they could have had because they're stuck in limbo with someone who's already made their choice. Don't let that be you. Don't let someone's silence steal your voice. Punishment. Here's what you do instead. You take all that energy you were pouring into them and you pour it into yourself. You rebuild your life so full that if they leave, you don't collapse. Punishment. You make your world so bright that if they dim their light, it doesn't matter because you've got your own. And then something amazing happens. The people who are meant for you will see that light and they'll match it. Punishment. They won't drain it. They won't dim it. They'll protect it. So maybe today, silence feels like the worst thing in the world. But tomorrow, it might just be the start of the best chapter you've ever lived. Punishment. Because here's the thing about silence. It doesn't just tell you who's drifting away. It also makes room for the ones who are dying to get closer. You ever notice how the people who make you feel like the most important person in the world at the start are often the same ones who make you feel invisible at the end? Punishment. It's not always because they stopped loving you. It's often because they stopped appreciating you. There's a difference. Love is an emotion. Appreciation is a choice. And choices have to be made every single day. Punishment. When someone stops choosing you, it doesn't matter how much love they once had. It won't feel like love anymore. Let me tell you about this guy I knew, Alex. He was in a relationship that looked perfect on Instagram. Couple selfies, date nights, all the right captions. But in real life, he was constantly feeling like he had to prove himself. He'd plan surprise dinners, send good morning texts, leave little notes in her bag. Punishment. And she'd smile and say thank you, but she never gave anything back, not because she was evil or selfish, but because she knew deep down that he'd keep doing it whether or not she reciprocated. Punishment. And here's the truth. People value what they have to invest in. If you're the only one investing, they're not going to suddenly wake up one day and think, wow, I should work harder. Punishment. No, they'll keep withdrawing from the account because you've made it clear they can. This is where self-respect comes in. Self-respect isn't about walking around with your chest out, acting untouchable. Punishment. It's about knowing when to stop giving to someone who's only taking. It's about having the courage to say, I love you, but I won't love you at the cost of losing myself. And listen, I get it. Walking away isn't easy. If it were, none of us would ever cry into our pillows at 3 a.m. or stare at the ceiling wondering what we did wrong. You're not weak for wanting them to stay. You're human. You built a life that included them. Punishment. And now you have to face the reality of living without that picture in your head. That's not easy. It's grief. But here's something no one tells you. Self-respect doesn't always feel good in the moment. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it feels like you've made the wrong choice because the silence is so loud. But eventually that silence becomes peace. And peace is addictive. When you've had enough chaos, enough mixed signals, punishment, enough nights staring at your phone, peace starts to feel like the most beautiful thing in the world. You stop craving the high of someone's attention and you start craving the calm of knowing your worth without their validation. Punishment. That's when your life changes. Because here's the beautiful irony: when you stop chasing, the right people start showing up. And not just in love, friends, opportunities, everything. Punishment. Because you've stopped sending out the signal that you're available for crumbs. You're sending out the signal that you're a feast, and only people willing to bring their own dish can sit at your table. Punishment. I remember when I first learned that lesson, I had just ended a relationship where I did all the work. And I told myself, I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to live so well that even if no one comes, I'll still be okay. I started traveling more, picking up hobbies I'd neglected, spending time with people who made me laugh until my stomach hurt. And then something amazing happened. I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes. Punishment. I stopped caring whether they came back, not because I hated them, but because I finally loved me. And here's the kicker, right when I hit that point, they came back. The text showed up, hey, I've been thinking about you. Punishment. But by then, the hook they had in me was gone. I wasn't starving anymore, so their crumbs didn't tempt me. That's the power of self-respect. Punishment. It doesn't just protect you from people who won't love you right. It makes you immune to the ones who think they can drift in and out of your life whenever they want. You might be thinking, that sounds strong, but I'm not there yet. And that's okay. You don't have to feel strong to start acting strong. The feelings will follow the actions. Start by setting one small boundary. Maybe you stop texting first for a week. Punishment. Maybe you stop saying yes to plans that don't work for you. Maybe you let their call go to voicemail if you're in the middle of something important. Punishment. These aren't games. They're reminders to yourself that your time and energy matter. And yes, some people will notice the change. Some will try harder. Others will disappear. Both results are good because both give you clarity. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt fully seen, not halfway, not when they were in the mood, but truly seen and valued for exactly who you are? If that's been a while, punishment. Maybe it's time to stop giving people who don't see you front row seats in your life. The person who truly belongs in your life won't need to be begged. They'll notice the little things. Punishment. They'll match your effort without keeping score. They'll make you feel safe in the quiet moments, not just the exciting ones. Until that person comes, be that person for yourself. Show up for you. Keep promises to yourself. Punishment. Speak kindly to yourself. That's how you build a life so full, you stop fearing someone's absence. Because the truth is, when you choose self-respect over chasing, you don't lose anything worth keeping. Punishment. You just clear space for what's real. And one day you'll look back and realize letting them go wasn't the end of your story. It was the start of the chapter where you finally became the main character. Punishment. And that's when it finally clicks. Not all endings are tragedies. Some are doorways you couldn't see until you stopped pounding on the wrong one. You thought losing them would break you. But in reality, it's what finally sets you free. See, we spend so much time clinging to people who were only ever meant to be temporary. We confuse history with destiny. We assume that just because someone has been in our lives for years, they're supposed to stay forever. But the truth, punishment. Some people are only in your story long enough to teach you the lesson you needed to move forward. And when that lesson is done, they leave, sometimes quietly, sometimes painfully, but always purposefully. You won't see it at first. At first, you'll just feel the ache. You'll replay old conversations, overanalyze their silence, and wonder what you could have done differently. But here's what I need you to hear. Their silence is not a puzzle you have to solve. It's an answer you've been avoiding. When someone consistently chooses distance, they are telling you exactly where you stand in their life. No explanation, no grand speech, no closure needed. The action is the answer. Punishment. And that's not rejection. That's redirection. It's an invitation to reclaim the energy you've been wasting on chasing, convincing, or proving. Punishment. Because the second you stop chasing someone who doesn't value you, you create space for someone who will. You see, your peace is too expensive to sell for the price of someone's attention. Your self-respect is worth more than their inconsistent affection. And your worth, it's not up for debate, especially not in the court of their opinion. I know it's tempting to think, if I just try harder, they'll see my value. But listen carefully, your value isn't invisible. They see it, they just don't choose it. And that's all you need to know. When someone wants you in their life, punishment. You'll never have to beg for a seat at their table. You won't have to audition for a role you were born to play. You won't have to wonder if they care. You'll know punishment because their actions will say it louder than their words ever could. And I get it. Letting go is terrifying. It feels like walking into a dark room, unsure of what's on the other side. But here's the thing, the dark isn't empty. Punishment, it's full of everything you've been asking for. The reason you can't see it yet is because you're still facing the wrong direction. Punishment. The moment you turn away from what's no longer serving you, the moment you take one small step toward yourself, the light starts to appear. And with every step, it gets brighter. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. Punishment. So let's talk about you. You are not broken because someone couldn't love you the way you needed. You are not less because someone chose someone else. You are not unworthy because someone didn't stay. What you are is free. Free to rewrite the rules. Free to stop over-explaining yourself. Free to stop making excuses for their lack of effort. Free to demand the kind of love that doesn't leave you guessing. punishment, but freedom always comes with a choice. Will you use it to run back to the cage you just escaped from, or will you finally learn to fly? Maybe you've been living in almost respected, almost loved, almost chosen, punishment, and almost feels better than nothing until you realize it's still not enough. Almost will starve you slowly. It will make you think you're full when you're actually running on scraps. And if you stay there long enough, you'll forget what a full meal even feels like. You deserve more than crumbs. And you don't get more by waiting for the wrong person to change. You get more by walking away and making room for the right one. Punishment. Here's the raw truth. People who truly care about you will never put you in a position where you have to question it. They will not weaponize silence. They will not disappear when things get hard. Punishment. They will not make you beg for clarity. So if you've been chasing clarity from someone who's been giving you confusion, that's your sign. And listen, you don't need to hate them to let them go. You don't need a dramatic ending. Punishment. You can release someone with love and still decide they no longer have a place in your future. Because forgiveness isn't the same as access. You can forgive someone and still close the door. One day, punishment. You'll thank yourself for walking away before they had the chance to shatter you completely. One day, you'll be grateful you stopped chasing the version of them that only existed in your head. One day, you'll realize that the loneliness you felt after they left was just the detox before the real healing began. And when that day comes, you won't just survive without them, you'll thrive. But here's the part that's hard to hear, punishment. You can't heal in the same place you got hurt. You can't grow while standing in the same soil that kept you small. And you can't become who you're meant to be while clinging to who you were when you were with them. Punishment. So yes, it's going to hurt. Yes. There will be days when you question if you made the right choice. Yes. There will be moments you'll miss them, even if they didn't treat you right. But hurt doesn't mean wrong. And missing them doesn't mean you should go back. It just means you're human. Here's what I want you to take with you. When silence enters the room, listen to it. When someone shows you they don't value your presence, believe them. When you start doubting your worth, remind yourself that their actions are not the mirror of your value. Your life is too big for small love. Your future is too bright for dim connections. And your heart is too precious to keep handing it to people who can't carry it. So walk away, not to punish them, not to prove a point. Walk away because you finally remembered who you are. And who you are is someone who will never again settle for being almost